Hi, thank you everybody for joining us again on another KetonianKorner talk. I'm Jolene Hale, and I'm here with my co-host, John Davidson. Today we are going to do a question and answer. We've decided, I think, for now, that we are going to do a question and answer the first of each of the months. So if you guys have questions for us, you have another 4 weeks to get them into us, and you can do that through our website or emailing either one of us as well. So, hey, John, how are you?
I am ready to get going. That's how I am.
All right. So I do have a correction. Last week, I mentioned at the end of the show that Jimmy Moore had come up with a smart meter that measured numerous things. Glucose was one of them, and ketones was another. I actually said that it was going to also measure insulin, and I was incorrect on that. I checked as soon as we left the meeting, and it is actually going to be testing total cholesterol. So I just wanted to correct that from last week's show.
Kind of pricey, though, still. I know the strips are cheaper, but just in case anyone was interested in that, the meter is $50.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a little pricey.
It's going to
go up. It says it's going to go up to 60.
Yeah.
But maybe you make it up on strips if you like to test your ketones a lot.
Yeah.
Because the strips are cheaper.
Yeah, and with it doing total cholesterol, I don't know. I mean, I have mine tested at the doctor, so I don't really know if there's even a meter that does that out there. So that may be the difference as to why. But.
All right. Well, the first question was on show notes, because a few times we've mentioned show notes, and I think that our website doesn't actually link to show notes. So I just wanted to kind of we could probably change it in the future, but for now, any of the show notes get saved. Actually, if you are you listening to this as a podcast, all the podcast players, if you look at them and the links aren't clickable, just drill into the podcast, whether if you're on an iPhone or an Android, both. You can click in, and then any of the hyperlinks will actually link out to the website. So just a note, if you're looking at it, and we mentioned that in a video, like a YouTube, we don't have the show notes there either. So just kind of awareness that right now when I say show notes, they're attached to the MP3s, so you'd have to see them in a podcast player until we get smarter about that.
Okay. Perfect. A question that gets asked a lot is what type of alcohol is acceptable on keto. So while I do not drink, I did look this up to see there are a few things that are considered acceptable. I'm going to tell you what they are, and then I'm going to come back and kind of explain that. So unsweetened vodka, rum, gin, tequila, whiskey, scotch, brandy, and cognac of 80%. Or 80 proof, sorry, not 80%. So I will tell you that...
well, and rum's vary, just as an awareness. Rum,
so, and they
if it's spiced rum or sweet rum. Yeah,
they actually had in big, bold, all caps, unsweetened. So you do have to be cognizant. They did point out coconut rum is no. So anybody who is going to Jamaica. I do want to point out, though, although drinking a few drinks or having drinks occasionally in moderation may not kick you out of ketosis, your body will burn that alcohol before it burns anything else. So just as an awareness, you may not. Now, there are some sites, if you go out and look at it, and we've addressed this a little bit before, that there's differences in people's version or their definition of keto. With true ketogenic is to be grain-free. So that means no beer. Even the low-carb beers that they have out there, those still are made with grain. So even though it's low-carb, that does not mean keto. So again, it just is what your personal preference is and what you're willing to accept
And there are gluten-free beers out there that are carb-free, but not carb-free, grain-free. I've never had one that I thought tasted decent. As a previous beer.
Like the apple or something. Apple beer or something.
And you gotta be careful. A lot of the apple ciders are very rich in sugar.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't see anything when I did the research on it that would say one type of beer was okay versus another.
So since I drink, I'll go ahead and disclose the fact that I do, and it's going to sound really crazy, but one of my favorite things is Bacardi Raz is in a fifth, and it is a lower. I don't know if it actually qualifies as a unsweetened, but it is a pretty low carb one, and I put it in Diet Dr. Pepper, and it seriously tastes like Grape Crush. Scary good, if you like Grape Crush, that is. So, just a point, definitely stick to just a few. Like you mentioned, your body burns that first, for sure. And anytime, I think I used to drink a lot when I was in college and stuff. And after I went primal and ketogenic, whenever you pop yourself out, it's like you just notice it so much more. I don't think I realized how much alcohol impacted my next day's feeling, and I guess I'm older now. So what do they say? It takes twice as long.
Why did you look at me when you said that?
Well, I'm trying to participate with everybody. I'll look over here then. As I get older, I think it takes me longer to recover, but I tend not to drink that much anymore. I just don't like the way.
Well, and I do know people who have been ketogenic for a while, and they do drink. They do say that it hits them a lot faster.
Oh yeah, I am
harder.
A cheap drunk.
So
cheap date. That's what I meant to say.
Just something to be aware of is that it might have taken you a 6-pack before to get a buzz, and you're probably not going to take that.
No, especially if I didn't have breakfast, I'm fasted. Yeah, I can get buzzed off a beer.
Okay.
So
full disclosure.
Tying into going off of ketogenic by having a drink or something like that, or for that matter, anything. So what happens? You do that. Let's say, I don't know. Maybe you had a condiment that you use every day. You didn't realize had some extra sugar or something in it that would force you to go out of ketogenic. How long are you out?
So it depends.
I mean, obviously the quantity and so forth. I understand that, but
yeah. So there are a few variables. One of them is if you're keto adapt, then it's probably not going to kick you out for very long if you do it on a rare occasion, right? Each time you do it, however, you stay out longer and longer. So for someone like me who's been doing it a year, if I ate something that was higher in carbs and it did kick me out, it probably, and again, it's going to vary, but it could do it for as few as a few hours. But the more that you do it, it can do it for, up to a week or so before you get back into ketosis.
So Dr. Walls, the Walls Protocol, which is ketogenic, she talks about, she does it for MS, but when she started, she would find herself slipping out of ketosis very easily, depending on what she ate. But she's been that way for a long time. Now she can have pretty much, like she was talking about in her TED Talk, I think, consuming a large quantity of berries and still staying in ketosis. So again, the more fat adapted you are, the easier your body can just automatically convert back to being fat adapted. So the fun, it depends answer.
Yeah, I understand that.
So like me this morning, and again, I've been doing this for over a year, but I did not eat anything different the last few days than I have been. But for some reason, when I did my ketones this morning, I was only at 0.3. So, I mean, clearly there was something, but I do not have any idea what it was that would have kicked me. So,
but 0.3 is bad?
Well,
Not necessarily
0.5
bad.
is where I don't want to be lower than 0.5, and to be quite honest, I like to be around 1. But I knew when I woke up this morning, which is why I tested. I don't normally test during the week, but I could feel different, and this sounds crazy, but I can tell by my eyesight whether or not I'm low or where I like to be. So that's why I tested this morning. But
to directly answer your question slightly differently, if I found I was using a condiment and it had sugar in it, so let's say, for example, it was a paleo ketchup, and I didn't realize it had a lot of honey in it. As long as it's a condiment and it is a small percentage of your meal, it's even more likely that you wouldn't be impacted by that. But
I was wondering.
Yeah, so
because
it's a volume.
Depending on how long you've done it, right? Because if you're doing it on day 1, then it's going to take you longer to get fat adapted. If you didn't start doing it until you were fat adapt, then you're talking about a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
So it just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird and everybody's different. So, okay, this one I'm directing at you, John, because I don't know enough about MTC or MCTs. I would say those letters back.
Okay, I do too. So the question is MTC oil over powder and or pills. And I think we've always said MTC is like think of it as a supplement. It's not something you necessarily have to have. I would comment that the powder has additives in it. A type of fiber and a few other things. It's meant to make you be able to consume more. So you just need to be aware that powder is not like pure from that standpoint. But pills, the only difference between having it in a pill versus the pills actually have the exact same stuff in the middle. So it's not. You're just really having the gelatin coating is the only difference. And again, like we've mentioned before, when it comes to that, it is definitely not a requirement. I just happened to do it because like maybe we've talked about, other people I constantly need more calories, so I tend to just pour that on stuff because it doesn't have a lot of taste, and it's an easy way for me to put a little more fat in my meal.
The next question came in, how often should I measure my ketones and my blood glucose? So this one really is, it is a personal preference. You can measure them as often as you like. I will say that if you are non-diabetic, obviously if you have diabetes issues, you need to do what your doctor tells you to do. But if you are not diabetic, you can measure it as frequently as you would like. I have done things like N1 experiments where I will do my fasting blood sugar, and then I will eat food and measure an hour and a half after each time I eat. I've done it after our last episode where John talked about the carb test. I actually am doing it with different foods. So over the weekend I did it with strawberries to see how my body reacted to that. As far as the ketones go, I personally am cheap. So I only test my ketones once a week because the strips are so expensive. But again, you can test them as often as you want.
So how did your body react to the strawberries?
Surprisingly, not at all.
Really?
Yeah, I did 5 ounces of strawberries.
Which is how many?
5. I mean, it's going to vary, obviously, depending on the size. But the ones I ate 5 strawberries. And my 30 minutes after I ate, my blood glucose went up to 111, I do believe. And then...
That's like 30. What was the difference?
So
up 30 or?
I did my fasting. It was 94. Just before I ate the strawberries, for some reason, it was at 104. Then 30 minutes after, it was at 111, and 30 minutes after that, I was back down to 87. So it literally, the spike was very minimal, and it was gone quickly. So I was a little shocked by that, to be honest, but happy as well because I love strawberries.
Well, you got to learn and test. That's why. How do you mind me asking, how long did it take you you said that you can kind of feel your ketones by your eyesight. How long did it tell you to become like self-aware like that?
I would say I started really tuning into that probably 6 or 8 months ago. So about 4 to 6 months into it. When I get up in the morning, if I sometimes can wake up and pick up my phone and read it, and I know that my ketones are higher. If I can't see my phone and I have to put my glasses on, I generally know. I mean, I don't test every time that it happens, but each time I have noticed that and I've tested, my ketones have been lower. And today my eyesight was not good. So.
I have a hard time telling personally. That's why I was just curious. And I haven't tested with strips enough. Because for me personally, I'm trying to figure out when I eat too much protein to try to realize that. Because I find it family functions. So here, depending on when you're listening to this, we just had 4th of July, so you end up going to cookouts at family stuff. So I found me eating like broth, like ton of broths and like stuff like that with like little to no. I had other stuff, but I'm just always wondering how much protein is too much protein for me. But besides plopping the money down on the strips, which I guess I should probably do.
Yeah, so I mean, again, mine is my glasses, right? Yeah. I mean, some days I don't. And even like late in the day, I can tell that they're pretty high. Some days when I'm leaving work, even after sitting in front of a computer all day, I can't see out of my glasses to drive, so I have to take my glasses off in order to see distance. So I know at that.
It's a big difference.
Yeah, that my eyesight is better, or my ketones are higher.
Ketones are lower at that point, too?
My ketones are higher when my eyesight is better.
At the end of the day, though, you say...
Oh,
Have you tested it?
I haven't, and I should. I'll make a mental note to do that next time. But like they say that if you test your ketones 4 hours after your last meal, that is the best time to get the most accurate reading.
For the middle of the night?
Yeah. I mean,
that doesn't work for me.
I go to bed fairly early because I'm old, but I just, I don't know how your body would know that it's your last meal, right? So if I've eaten and I went to bed and I tested 6 hours later, I don't know what the 2-hour difference would be. I don't know. I'm not sure that it is a good scientific conclusion that they tell you to do it 4 hours after, but that's what I have heard. So, okay. The next question, again, I'm going to defer this to John because I don't really know that much about collagen. So question is, do you think collagen supplement is a good thing, and will it help with loose skin after weight loss?
Well, directly, I have no idea about the loose skin. I know I've read that.
Yeah,
before.
That's right, because I forgot. John is a skinny mini.
Wasn't always. So I have no idea about the loose skin. I have heard that as a recommendation before, but I have no personal information about that. But collagen is something that I supplement on occasion. I've got, I think I've mentioned it before, the Great Lakes shaker actually at my desk at work, and sometimes I just pour it in coffee. Usually revolving around if I haven't had. I don't know what triggers it for me, but like if it's crazy if you supplement a lot. I mean, like for me personally, like my nails grow like crazy and my hair is silky smooth. But It really it's like bone broth. There's not a ton of studies or information about why you should do it, but bone broth, they boiled the bones down and all that collagen ends up in basically what you're drinking. So if you do want to supplement, I think it's like an insurance policy more than anything for me. And like I said, I do it when I haven't had a lot of meat lately, or I haven't had a lot of I can't put my finger on it, but it's just like sometimes I just like if my nails feel weak or something, I'll just have some. It's like a personal preference thing for me. If I have too much of it, I hate it because I hate cutting my nails.
So I do use it a couple of times a week.
Probably a good cadence.
I have the powder that I put in my coffee the days I go to the gym. So 3 days a week, I will have it. And again, I don't know enough about it to speak one way or the other. I don't notice any difference, but I heard that it was good. And
well, the marketing.
I do have loose skin, unfortunately. So that's what my purpose was, to try to see if that worked.
Well, Bulletproof, the company, does market all that really hard as collagen being a type of, or a way to get amino acids in without protein. So like a kind of, if you're doing like a fat fast or something like that, a way to get some of that into your system as a supplement. So it is very common to see that as an add-on to a Bulletproof coffee.
I'm going to keep doing it.
So I didn't really help.
If I do notice it, I'll let you know.
Okay.
So far, I haven't. I don't notice a difference physically. I don't.
Do your nails grow like crazy?
Well, I have fake nails on, so I don't really notice that either.
Oh.
But I don't feel different, and I haven't noticed any difference. But so the next question wants to know if there is a book that we would recommend for somebody who's just starting out. So my answer to that would be, it depends on what you want out of a book. So there are many good books out there. There is one, Dr. Oh, wow, his name just completely, it's Dr. Finney, has written a very good book. However, it is very technical. So if you want something that is an easy read, that would not be the book for you. The book was actually written for physicians, and so the terminology is a little bit hard to understand at times. But if you're wanting a book that is an easy read, my recommendation would honestly be for Keto Clarity. It was written by Jimmy Moore and Dr. Eric Westman. So there is scientific facts behind it, but Jimmy wrote it in more of the layman's terms. So if you don't have a medical background, or you just, that's not an interest for you, that book is easy to understand. So
I'm sure I should have thought of something and I did not. I have read Keto Clarity, and then it was an easy read. The audiobook was an easy listen, I should say. But other than that, Healthy Pursuit is a website, and the girl who, I don't even remember her name, she's got a book that's pretty good too that I liked, which is she was a little bit more athletic. So it's I don't know. You could tell me her name right now, and I wouldn't remember. But I can put it in the show notes. But she talks a little bit more about there's two like kind of advanced keto strategies, carb nights and like a I can't remember what the other one is.
Carb days?
No, that would be the standard American diet, carb days. But carb nights and then carb backloading, which has to do with when you have carbs specific to when you work out. So I know, not very helpful, but I think but I'll look up that. It's because it's also an easy read. But those two are both good options. Is it?
Yep.
Okay, there you go. Look at you.
I listen to a lot of podcasts. So the next one, and we kind of hit on this a little bit when Kevin asked the question, but it says, if I have cheated, what is the best way to get back into ketosis? And to be honest, just stop cheating. I mean, that's it. Just stop doing it, and then you're going to go back in. I mean, there is no miracle. There's nothing that's going to get you in faster than it was the first time you got in.
Well, exogenous ketones, but
well, yeah.
We can argue about that later.
Yeah, that's a whole different subject. But I mean, really, there is no quick fix, and just eat what you're supposed to, and your body will go back into ketosis.
And don't beat yourself up.
Yeah.
I mean, oops, I found out.
Punish yourself.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. So the question was, in the room was, what's an exogenous ketone? And I think we mentioned it one time a long time ago, but basically there are new products that are coming out that are, like an NPC is something that converts into ketones very fast. Well, it would be like the next level up from that. So it basically is like dumping ketones right into your bloodstream. So it's marketed as a way to kickstart yourself into ketosis. You've never had them, right?
I have not. And
for those of you guys on the phone, I'm pointing. I have, but I found that they don't really do much of anything.
Yeah. So I have issue with them, to be quite honest. And until I no longer have issue, I will not be consuming them. So when you are in ketosis, your body goes through a natural process. Your body creates the ketones, and there are things that happen in a sequence. And in my opinion, putting things in your body to elevate that quickly, I'm not sure that your body actually goes through the process that it needs to. Either that it's wasteful and you're just eliminating those ketones at a very expensive cost to you, or does it actually do something to your body physically that because you're putting them in there and your body's not catching up to that? So there are some instances, health-wise, I think that they could be possibly, but for someone who doesn't have those health issues, I'm not convinced that that is something that I should be doing. So.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. As a matter of fact, I mean, it's exactly that. You're bypassing your body's not creating them, you're flooding them in. So I do also agree that that's probably not the best approach. But I bought some to try.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that there are people who talk about using them for people with Alzheimer's.
Yep.
That it has, and again, these are anecdotal. There's no research on it, but that they have reported that there has been good response by using them. Also, people with cancer. So again, I think there are situations that they may be extremely helpful, but I think for just the common person.
So do you know names? Don and Denistos, or whatever his name is, the guy that does military contracts. So they were created for DARPA and for Navy SEALs so every time I listen to him talk in an interview, I just get all like, I don't know.
I've not heard of him.
Oh, really? He's been on everybody's podcast. I think Jimmy Moore's even had him on before. So he actually does military studies, and he does other stuff. So he's been on Mind Pump, he's been on Jimmy Moore, he's been on all the big name podcasts. And his Tim Ferriss interview is fantastic.
I have to look him up.
But it's pretty interesting. You know, they do that because the reason they were developed is they want Navy SEALs to be, their breath hold time is like, I can't remember, doubled when they're in ketosis. So basically they'll take them right before they go out on a mission. So anyway, it's very black ops. So I like to take them and dress in all black and go slowly creep around my house with my tactical shotgun. But that's just me.
So this next question actually is kind of, I put these together just because they kind of play on each other. So the next question actually that was submitted says, how long does it take to get back into ketosis if I jumped out? So first of all, whoever submitted this, thank you, because kudos to you. I love the fact that you actually are, taking ownership that you didn't slip up, you didn't fall off the wagon. You literally are taking ownership that you jumped off of that thing and ate something that you knew you shouldn't. So, but to answer the question, it takes everybody different, right? So we talked, again, with Kevin a minute ago. Depends on how long you've been in. It depends on how bad it was. There are a lot of factors, but I will tell you, in general, it's going to take anywhere from a couple of hours to a couple days. So.
Yeah, and it also, it depends on how far you jumped. If you had a baked potato, it's different than if you went to Olive Garden and bet the person next to you how many breadsticks you could eat.
Yeah.
That said, though, I do, it's not on this list, but I don't know if anyone else has hit this, but at family functions for me, I wouldn't say that my family shames me, but it's amazing how much I'd say crap I get for not having desserts and stuff. I don't know, it's like a constant thing. So for me, at least, and my family's not mean about it. It's just I don't think they realize they're doing it. And I think a lot of it is because they wish they would do something about them, where they are in their health journey. And instead they but I just wanted to mention, I found for me, the best thing I can do is just reply, I just don't like the way that makes me, I don't like the way I feel when I eat cake. And I just push back a little bit on them. And as long as you're firm, it tends to go away. But if you're wishy-washy and you're asking this question, I jumped out of ketosis because you got guilted into having a piece of cake at somebody's 50th birthday party, just be polite. Offer to cut the cake so you don't have to eat it or whatever, because I think that people don't realize what they're implying sometimes when they shame you.
I don't really have that with my family. I think maybe some of it is because I've always been a rebel, and so anything the family does, I kind of don't. But I mean, my whole life, my sisters have always known that, or have always said to me, my gosh, you have such willpower. Like, I wish I could do that. So that's not something abnormal, right? So my whole family smoked. I smoked for 25 years. I quit. I just don't. And they say that kind of stuff. So with food, it's really no different. Now, friends is different. Like, my friends do that. Kind of weird that you don't eat this. Like, never. You're never going to take a bite of something ever again. And my answer is no. And John and I are very, very different. He's of the 80-20, right? I can't do that. My mind does not work that way. So I'm all or nothing.
I'm still all or nothing on some things, though. I mean.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I just, I'm not. When I made my mind up that this is what I was going to do, that's what I'm doing, and that's just that. So.
They say it's weird by what standard, though?
Well, I mean, to them it's
by
weird.
Their standard.
Yeah, like, to them it's weird because
and so
they're going to do it.
What's normal?
Yeah, well.
The only reason I bring it up is because it kind of helps to have what you're going to say already packed in the back of your head, because it's I think a lot of people are popping out of ketosis more because of they're letting themselves be guilted into something because of peer pressure. So just wanted to throw that out there.
I totally agree with that. I think do we have time for a couple more?
Yep.
Okay. So the next one is, what type of cardio do you recommend?
I'll take this one.
Okay.
it depends on your fitness level. We've talked about a couple of things, everything from me pressuring you and to do heavy weights to we talked about to the 100 push-ups. But I think it really comes down to we can call back to 3 or 4 weeks ago when we did the intro to fitness tips, where there was a couple of little things that we talked about, starting small, attaching to current habits that you already have, and then later we did that one on weightlifting. And in the weightlifting one, the title is Introduction to Weightlifting. There is a fitness pyramid that I kind of model. It's definitely not one that would make you a athlete, but is the one I feel is the best, works best for me from a health and longevity perspective, and maintaining muscle without spending my entire life in a gym. So just a quick highlights on that. That's lifting heavy 2 to 3 times a week, sprinting once a week to every 10 days, and it doesn't have to be like run sprinting. It could be bike. Some type of anything revolving around going at a max effort for a short period of time. So we're only talking 90 seconds and then resting, and then 90 seconds. And then play. The bottom is play. Find something you like to do. If it's salsa dancing. If it's, you like to go for walks with your kids, then go for walks with your kids, walk your dog, whatever it is. But that play, you'd be surprised at how much low intensity exercise you can get just by doing something like that. Walk on a trail, whatever it is for you. Just find something that you like, because I think that's the most important.
Okay. Can all recipes be keto-fied? Pretty simple answer, no.
Yeah, but man, you can pretty much Google anything keto and find something or other. Keto waffles. I still don't understand that, but yeah.
Have you had them?
No.
They're yummy.
Are they yummy? Okay, well, there you go. So I just look at them and it defies gravity for me, or not gravity, defies logic for me. So I just don't even.
I think with that is no, not every recipe can be keto-fied. However, you can find an alternative. But going into it, especially when you're new, you have to understand it's not going to taste the same. So a chocolate cake that I would make is not going to taste like Grandma's German chocolate cake. It just isn't. So, again, you can have chocolate cake. Just know going into it, it's going to be different. And that exact recipe, you're probably not going to have to keto-fied. You can find one that you're going to get the end result. It's a little different taste, but the last one that I want to end on here.
This is your favorite kitchen gadgets. You love your kitchen gadgets. So go ahead, give us your list.
Well, let's start with you.
My kitchen gadgets are very small. I do have a stand-up mixer, but I barely ever use it, unlike you. I would say the kitchen gadget I use the most is the dishwasher. And then after that, it'd be a hard-boiled egg cooker. I hate cooking hard-boiled eggs, so you can buy like these little teeny round ones. They do like 6 or 7 at a time, and you just pour in the exact amount of water and then turn it on, and then they beep when they're done, and they're just perfect every time. So I do like that. And then what I'm playing with lately is, I would have probably said crock pot before, but I am starting to figure out my pressure cooker, and it is crazy fast. Yeah. Yes, it's an Instant Pot, and it's insanely fast. I just can't figure out texture. Like, sometimes it's like it pre-digests the food if you turn it on too much. So, hear me out.
Are you drinking it?
Well, it's great for bone broth. Not so good for if I'm going to make a soup. Because, like if I try to do something with broccoli in it, and the broccoli just, it was complete mush. So it was like I blended everything together.
Huh.
And I do have a Ninja, like one of those high-end Ninja, but I don't ever use it except for making dressing.
Yeah, so I'm going to say the ones that I use the most. This is not all of my kitchen gadgets, however. The dishwasher too is the most used. I also have a machine that I cook my eggs in, but I use a rice steamer to do it. So it holds more than a dozen eggs, so I can do the whole week 4 at a time.
So it's a steamer with a basket, and you can just put them all on the bottom. They just bounce into each other and stuff.
Yeah, they don't bounce.
well, whatever. They could roll around or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean they don't.
Huh.
Right. So my
just pack them
steamer
tight.
looks just like an Instapot. There's a center well that you put the water in, and then there's a basket that sits on top. And you can steam vegetables or whatever, right? It's not, I mean, I don't do anything with it except boil eggs. But, so I do I think you can do 14, but not 15 eggs. And I know that because when you shut the lid, it will crack.
Fair enough.
And I've done it more than once.
Is it perfect every time?
They are perfect every time. 19 minutes if you have a full basket.
So my Instapot has a steamer option.
Yeah. Oh, I bet it would work then. Yep.
Look at us get derailed.
Yeah.
I also have an air fryer, which I love. I do cook a lot of fish in that. I have also fried chicken, breaded chicken.
That's like an infomercial thing, right?
Yeah, like New Wave or something. Mine's Big Boss, but yeah. And full disclosure, I did buy it pre-keto when I thought I was being healthy and doing the non-oil oil fryer, or the non-oil
So what
fryer.
are you using for breading on chicken?
On my chicken, I actually use almond flour. Okay. And I've tried pork rinds, but to be honest, I don't like them. I cannot get them crispy, and the breading is just really soggy, so I didn't like that. I do use a stand mixer and a crock pot, but my probably all-time favorite is my immersion blender. I had one for years. My mom bought me, and I never used it, never took it out of the drawer. And when I started making my own mayonnaise, I don't know how I lived my whole life without that thing.
Yeah, I threw mine away and never used it.
Yeah.
So just for people who don't know, immersion blender, it's like a blender on a stick, right?
Right. Yep.
Oh. I don't know.
So you didn't even know.
I didn't know what it was.
2 minutes, you've got mayonnaise.
I had to get a new one because mine was plastic, and I was using it to blend soups, and it gets too hot. It distorts it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I love mine.
Sounds delicious.
I don't think I could go without it now, so.
Huh, maybe I'll have to, I mean, they're like $10, right? I mean, they're cheap.
Yeah, the first one that I had, again, my mom bought it, and I think it was expensive because it was one of the main brands. This last one, I was at my sister's in Indiana, and I found one cheap at some store we went to, so, but it works great. But it will definitely be forever in the kitchen.
So, I know we're way off topic, but so you're making the dressing. So I normally for Caesar put the ingredients in, and then while the blade's spinning, slowly pour in the oil. How does that work with immersion? Same exact way?
No, I throw everything.
You just throw everything in there, and you pull the button. Like,
put it all the way to the bottom and turn it on, and then it will start churning everything itself.
That's how you make your mayonnaise too?
Yeah.
All right. I think the gauntlet has been thrown. I have to try to do this because Costco is going to stop carrying that mayonnaise I always get, the paleo mayonnaise.
Is it the one with honey?
Yeah.
You would eat it anyway.
I know.
Why do they put honey in mayo?
Why did they put honey in mayo? It's hardly any.
I don't know. People are crazy. Well, tune in to the end of the month because we're going to give you some, well, actually the third week of the month, I guess. The loopholes in the nutrition label. That's going to be one of the things that we address.
Look at you. Call ahead, or whatever it's called. Setup. Tune in later. All right. Well, with that, that's our last question. Just a quick reminder, website and all your fun stuff that you do, all the social media, because I stink at everything.
Except Twitter. And let me tell you, people did make fun of me last week because I said I don't know how to Twitter instead of I don't know how to tweet.
Yep.
The only thing I think about is the Disney movie with the where Moana, where he signs it. Since I used a check-in, it's called a tweet.
Well, I felt like my mom. I'm just saying.
Pound sign.
Yeah.
Feel like your mom?
Sounds
Okay.
not
All right.
but
Yeah, we digress. All right, we're over on time, but I don't Twitter or even check Facebook, so
well, I do.
you do all the social media and do everything.
Yeah, I do check all those things. But email us. So again, first of next month we'll do questions. So send them to KetonianKorner.
Thanks for listening. For more details, head over to www.smallprimalhabits.com.